Hello, lovelies. Welcome to Horror 421, the podcast, with your hosts, special effects makeup artist supreme, Elena Morales, and your friendly small-town horror author, Charles Campbell. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the frights in this week's episode.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Horror 421, the podcast. I'm Charles Campbell, your host, and my co-host is with me, Elena Morales. Say hello, Elena.
Hello, everyone.
And today we have two very special guests. We have John Hambrick and Joni Durian. They are stars of several movies that I've watched and enjoyed. So we're so happy to have them here today. We're going to talk to John and Joni about horror, and we're going to talk about some of the films they've been in. So thank you guys for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
All right. We're so excited to have you. So right off the bat, tell me what got you guys into acting? What drove you into that profession? Because I think you're both great, and I think you both do a great job. But I'd like to hear your backstory and on how you became actors.
Yeah, of course.
Wow. God, it's been such a long time. I remember, I'd done like community theater and stuff like that when I was a kid. So I was kind of familiar with acting at least, but I just remember when I started out, Henrik was the first one that I started working with, and it just kind of started out as sort of a lark. I was following him on Facebook, and I saw he posted a call for somebody to be in Babysitter Massacre. He just needed somebody to basically just get naked and die. And I thought that sounded great. That sounded like some fun thing. Yep.
Yeah.
That sounded like a fun thing to be able to say that I did. So yeah, I sent him a message, and it just kind of went from there.
Yeah.
All right. What about you, John?
For me, I was 5 or 6, and my brother and sister and I'm the youngest of 3 kids. Brother and sister and we used to put on plays for my parents. We would put on Ghostbusters the play. We would put on what else? Like we would do around bikes and do skits that way. And then when I got into elementary school, there's a program in elementary school all the way through college called Odyssey of the Mind. It's called Destination, or there's another organization called Destination Imagination. What it is, it's a problem-solving organization, and you have to make a skit. And so I started acting in all those, and that really got me into acting, in front of large groups of people. And then I got into theater in middle school. My first real acting gig was I was in Little Abner, the musical Little Abner. And and then I was doing community college all through that. And when I moved to Ohio, I started doing community theater at Playhouse South. I was doing murder mystery dinner theater at the Spaghetti Warehouse in downtown Dayton. And then when I started doing that, I met a lot of friends through that and through Playhouse South. And they said, "Hey, do you want to audition for this movie that a local director is making?" I was like, "Yeah, absolutely. I never considered making movies before, but I'll give it a shot." And it really worked out. And through that, I just started making all these different connections. And so eventually, I went to one of Henrik's. I had heard of Henrik and what he was doing, and I went to the premiere of, I believe it was Haunted House on Sorority Row. That was the first premiere I went to of his, and I introduced myself and said, "Hey, I'd really want to audition for one of your films." And he says, "Well, what I'm really looking for for my next film is I need someone with DJ experience." And I was like, "Perfect, I have DJ experience. I was a DJ in college for my radio station." And so that's how I got that first role with him for Scarewaves. Yeah.
I enjoyed Scarewaves quite a bit. It was great, and you drove the movie really well. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
It was fantastic. Before I get into some of the other films, Elena, is there anything you want to throw out there? Pretty good.
So with the acting, is that also how both of you met as well?
Yes.
Yeah. We met at my condo, at our condo, a family's condo. We were doing a Scarewaves cast party, and I believe that was the first time we met.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we started working. Our next film we worked together. It was we shot Alone in the Ghost House. Shortly after that.
Yep.
And that was the first.
I watched that movie and I loved that movie.
Thank you. Yeah, that was our first experience working together.
Yeah.
On set. So.
Which was awesome.
Yeah.
That was such a fun experience.
Yeah, it was. I know it was a little nerve-wracking because I had done some improv before, but we were going into that film knowing that it was entirely, and we had a brief outline as to what was supposed to happen, but like the only instructions for that were like, you need to get from point A to point B in this scene, but how you're going to do it is up to you guys.
We had no lines.
We had no lines. Yeah, so it was different. It really was different, but it was really fun.
I remember thinking that too, because I saw Henrique, like the way he was interacting with everybody in the crowd seemed like it was just kind of just dialogue randomly, but it was funny though. It was good. And I was just like, this must have been a really fun working environment. Probably a lot of cuts, a lot of laughing and stuff. So
yeah.
Oh yeah.
You can definitely tell.
I think Henrik, if I remember correctly, Henrik told me that the original cut of that film was around 4.5 hours long. We just kept shooting. We shot everything.
Yeah, he told us that last week. It was like 3 hours or something. And they had to keep cutting. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And we didn't know if we were shooting or not.
No.
So we just had to stay in character all the time.
Yeah, like
I can't imagine keeping a straight face with that belly dancing scene. Like I could not have held it together.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, Erin was hiding that. She didn't show us her peacock broad until, and I thought that was hilarious. Like, yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Unexpected.
Yeah, but it was great. I mean, like that film, especially like with Scarewaves, I was just in a booth by myself. I wasn't working with any other actor for the most part, and so Alone in the Ghost House was my first experience working with all those people actually on screen interacting with, and that was just such a special experience for me, just because it was it felt like just one big family. It felt like everyone was just on the same page and everyone was just really getting along so well. That was a really good experience. Yeah.
It just felt like being in a family,
Yeah.
basically. I mean, it's always been that way. Like that's my film family.
Yeah.
Well, see, and that's kind of what it conveys to me when I watch it. Now, how I discovered you guys was, oddly enough, I was in a dollar store one day, and this movie was on the shelf, and I said, "Hey, I'll buy that. I'll buy that for $1." Brought it home, popped it in, and I was like, "Wow, this is really good." Well, I've got a crap ton of dollar movies that are shit, but this one was really good, and I was like, wow. So I started looking you guys up on Facebook to see the actors and the director. I wasn't like creeping on anybody, but I wanted to see who these folks were and what else you guys had out there. And so I found everything else, and then I got in touch with Henrik and got a connection with him. So I've been fortunate enough, he's featured a few stories on his weekly spooky podcast, but the more I watched them, and I could see you guys regularly together with the same group of core people, and that comes off on the screen. You know, it comes off that you guys are really friends and you play well off of one another. That was just my observation. So,
and John Dalton is I mean, he's such a good person to work. I mean, he's one of the nicest guys. I mean, like we had a blast working with him, and he really has his own voice and how he writes and how he directs, and like really, I mean, it's really unique, and I've really enjoyed working with him.
Yeah, and I noticed that was one Henrik didn't direct. He actually produced that movie, and John did another movie that I've seen. Was it Scarecrow County? Yeah. I saw that movie too. So John is definitely a great talent. I want to circle back to this because I just rewatched this last night just for today, and I've seen them all. But the argument scene you guys had, the extended argument scene, I freaking love that.
Thank you. Yeah.
So how much of that was acting?
None of that. Like we're just like that in real life.
No, yeah. No.
No, we rehearsed it quite a bit before shooting that scene, and we did that in like 5 or 6 takes, I believe.
Yeah.
I
mean, I think the final version that we did, though, wasn't that pretty much just a straight shot for the most part?
It was. I'm not sure.
For the most part,
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure if we cut other ones, but yeah, I mean, doing a scene like that is always fun, but it's also exhausting.
Yeah.
Like I was out of breath. I had to go lie down. I actually took a nap after shooting that scene because it was so it's exhausting. I'm not a screamer in real life, so like it takes a little bit.
You did a great job in that scene, and Joni was really getting in on you too. So
yeah.
It was kind of like it sort of put me in a bad place after that. Like I kind of had to sort of cool down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were pissed off. I could tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I build myself up when I'm doing a scene like that. I build myself up. Like each take, I felt like myself getting angrier and angrier until like I just wanted, John Dalton just to say at one point, it's like, too angry, John. Like back off a little bit.
Right. You never did though.
You never did.
Yeah. We just let it loose.
Yeah.
I love any excuse that I get to just like raise my voice, just like yell, just like hey.
Well, speaking of, I'm gonna switch gears on films on you a little bit, and we'll talk about some things outside the film too. But when you talk about angry, I had so much joy watching you get so pissed off at Henrik in Devil's Trail.
Yeah.
Whole movie, dude. And I talked to Henrik about it, and he said, no, he wasn't acting. He was really fucking mad.
That's his story. Like, I don't remember ever getting actually angry with him. I knew he was playing. He does. So one thing that Henrik does try to do with me quite often, he has done this in like every especially found footage movies. He tries to get me to break character. He tries to get me to like lose it, basically. Like, there's that one scene where Henrik and I were snuggling at night, and he just kept going with like, he's like, stars, like blah blah, and by the third time I'm just like, I've had it, and I started laughing, and that's what he's looking for. Like, yeah, he almost every movie he's tried to get me to break character. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna say one more thing about Devil's Trail. I'm from the Deep South, dude. Your slingshot skills, come on, bro.
They suck. Not only that, but my fire starting skills are also horrible in that one scene. Man, like, yeah. Well, like, I talked to Henrik about it, and just like, oh, don't worry about it, John. Like, these guys, like, they're not even they're faking the whole thing anyway, so it doesn't matter if you're good or not. I'm just like, okay, but like, I still want to look like I appear like I know what I'm doing at the beginning.
I think that adds to the movie, though. I mean,
yeah. It was good. It was good. Yeah.
I remember my sister finally sat down and watched that movie, and like she was like, John, I really like that movie, but like I got to tell you, I didn't learn anything from that whole educational part. I'm just like, yeah, I know, like
you would die. Elena, you would die if you used that as a barometer to survive in the wilderness. I'm just telling you now.
I was living in Seattle. I was living in Seattle. I was just about to move back to Ohio when Henrik pitched me the idea for that movie, and he says, like, John, that's the idea for this movie. Like, it's where like the only thing he told me was like, you're gonna get eaten by a bear at the end, and that's the only thing that's literally the only thing he told me. I was like, that sounds awesome. Let's do it. And so that's why in the beginning of the film, I wanted to throw in that one line about, like, oh, like, we're going to teach you how to forage for food, how to avoid getting eaten by a bear. And by like, because like at the end of the movie, it's clear like this guy has no idea what he's talking about. Like,
oh man, it was a fun movie to watch just with your two interactions, and it looked like Henrik was really getting under your skin. So that was a great job acting. It was a great job acting because you looked really upset with the guy. But anyway, that was another observation that I had. Joni, what were some of the challenges in making Alone in the Ghost House for you? Did you I mean, that was a big role for you. I mean, you had a lot of scenes, and I'm just curious, what sort of challenges did you have in that movie?
So I thought it was going to be a lot more challenging than it ended up being. I think the biggest thing was kind of getting over that nervous hurdle of not having a script, not having lines. Like, we had an outline, but just not being able to rely on our dialogue. But we quickly realized, like, that wasn't actually as scary as it sounded. I mean, just it's been so long, so I'm trying to like think back. There was just so many things I loved about it. Like, it's hard to think about anything that was challenging, because it was like, I just remember having just so much fun. I think one of the hardest things about that one, getting kind of personal, was that that was around the time of my life when I actually got diagnosed with an anxiety disorder. And so I had just started going on meds for it right before we started filming that. And I was still like kind of in a, like, I was a little shaky. I felt like, oh my God, like, I hit just a really kind of scary place in the mental health sort of sense. And so going from that to filming that was that was a lot, but it ended up being something that really kind of helped sort of pull me out of that a little bit.
Well, it also helps prove that to yourself too in your mind, because I have anxiety issues too, and when I'm acting in The Haunt, being that person who screams all night long and is always like running after people, which is like complete opposite of who I am as a person outside of that. Yeah. It also helps you prove to yourself in your mind, like, hey, I can do this, and you don't have to always be so scared of like anything, because that build up to that moment, you're like, damn, this sucks, like, I'm not gonna do it, I suck, I hate everything, the way my shirt feels on my body is weird. It's that whole moment, but then you get through it and you're just like, success. Yeah.
I mean, that's really kind of the thing for acting. Like, for me, it's always been kind of the sense of safety almost. It's like, as soon as you hear action, as soon as you step on the stage, as soon as your lines start, like, it's almost like you go into this totally different headspace. It's like a switch just goes off, and you are safe in that moment. Like, none of the things that you're worried about, or any of the things that you got going on in your head, those things they're gone. They don't affect you at all.
Yeah, like that dry run we do, or anything without contacts or without the costume, without the character, you're like, I don't like it. And then you get in that moment, you're like, scene, let's do this.
Yeah.
Got it, let's do it.
Doesn't matter. You just gotta throw that stuff out. And like, I don't know, I feel like when you're in that moment, like when you're under the spotlight, when everything's on, when it's running, it's like you can't let that stuff in. And so it just doesn't go in. Like, it's a switch.
Yep.
It's safe.
Well, I haven't faced anxiety issues, but I have people in my life that have, and Elena being one of them now. So it's good that that's a safe space, and I hope everything is going well for you now. I really do. So I hope you're in a good spot. Looks like you got a good guy with you. So
yes.
So that's awesome. Now, I'm going to rephrase the question I just asked you a few minutes ago, because I thought about it, Joni. Boggy Creek, what were the challenges in that show? That looked like you may have had some challenges, but I love the show. It's a Bigfoot show, Elaine. I don't think you've seen that yet. But
not yet. I didn't get to watch that one yet.
But it's a mini series that Henrik put out there, and Joni is the star of that show, and it's such a good show.
That was another one that was so fun to film. I think the biggest challenge with that one was that we filmed it like on drastically different times of the year. There was just like a big break in between when we filmed the first part versus the second part. And so just kind of remembering, where was I? That was kind of a big thing. But I mean, a lot of it was just, more of the same, working with the same group of people. And I think one difficult thing with that one was that I think there was one of the filming days my car broke down, and so I had to get rides to the next day of filming. But I feel like that's happened to me a couple times now with like a couple of, so I'm almost used to it at that point. I'm glad that car is out of my life.
So for the people who are actually listening to the podcast, it's called Boggy Creek the series, and it was on Amazon Prime. I think you could still go to Amazon and purchase it if you'd like, but it's like 6 episodes, I think. Yeah, I think it's 6 or 8 episodes, but they're very entertaining. And Bigfoot's in the backdrop, and Joni's up front. And you play a forest ranger, right? Is that the role?
Something like that. I'm like a cop or yeah. I think it's a forest ranger. I should know that.
Yeah, I think
yeah. So she plays a forest ranger, and she has a partner, and some things start happening around that area, and Bigfoot's actually kind of a hero in the show. So he's not really a villain, but spoiler alert.
Guy that doesn't want people screwing around in his woods,
but it's very entertaining. So Elena loves horror. I love horror. We watch all kinds of horror stuff. I write horror novels. I write horror books. She reads them. We do anything related to horror. We're there. So the question for both of you, one at a time or together, is what got you into the genre? What drives your love for horror?
You go ahead.
I have always loved horror. When I was a really young age, my dad used to take my brother and sister and I and put us in the attic and turn out all the lights and tell us scary stories. And
I'm glad you kept that going. You just stuck us in the attic. Go ahead.
He locked us in for days without food or water. That was scary. So I was introduced to horror at a very young age, and then I started reading all sorts of all the scary books I could get my hands on, and my parents from a pretty early age introduced me to horror films. I believe it was I could be wrong. I think it was the 1978 Invasion of the Body Snatchers was the first horror movie I ever watched, which is still a creepy movie, I think. I just have always loved that genre. I love how it's a way to explore it's a way to embody your fears. It's a way to basically, turn a fear of yours into a monster and address things that people are hesitant to talk about. And I think it's a great genre. It really is. And just, it's also, it's fun, it's thrilling. And I'm thrilled that I've been able to make horror films, for sure. Yeah, because it's my favorite genre of film.
Yeah, I think for me, I was more of like a sci-fi and fantasy person. I particularly always really love sci-fi, and there's a lot of kind of mixture of the genre between sci-fi and horror. Like there's a lot of horror in sci-fi and in fantasy, and so for me, it was always just kind of this feeling of just like being a little kid and running around in the yard. Playing pretending you're in space, pretending you're fighting aliens or whatever. Like just being, in this situation where, you got like a little pretend gun and you're running around, just kind of that fun, that childlike playfulness, I feel like is kind of, that's the feeling that I get from it.
I think that's also the same sentiments as Enrique had. He said, in the heart of it all, at the end, with everybody in horror, we're all just spooky nerds, we're ridiculous, and you have that aspect of escapism and becoming someone you're not and facing those fears and getting to be that little kid in the yard with the gun killing the monsters in your closet, or outside. I think that's just one of his same sentiments he had, and I really enjoyed that.
It's also really fun to die in a horror movie.
Yes.
Like
that is true. Yes, it is. I like to be the killer.
I think I've died in the majority of the movies I've made.
Yes. Both of us have died many times.
Yeah.
And killed. Which is almost as fun as dying, but a little different.
Yeah.
With Ouija Room, with you guys, did you guys have a hard time acting as brother and sister in that movie rather than as a cohesive unit together? Did you find that to be any challenge in that filming?
I felt like it was pretty easy. I mean, I personally felt it was pretty easy to slip into that role. When Henrik sent me the script for that, I read it as soon as I got it, and I instantly called him back. I said, like, Henrik, there you go.
I'll try it again. There you go.
Yeah. Thanks for wearing that.
Aw.
That I instantly called him up and I said, like, Henrik, that is one of the best scripts I've ever been sent. Like, I love the characters. Like, just that brother sister bond was just so, I felt like it was so well written and so powerful. And they're so well real. I mean, like, some of the most at the time, like, it was some of the most well realized characters I've read for a script, and I just instantly fell in love with it. So that was such an amazing experience working on that film. Yeah.
Well, and for me, that was I had a feeling it was going to be fun to play that character. She's a different character. She's got all these quirks, little. So for me, it was just like I just took down all my filters, just everything that's sort of I don't do because it's socially unacceptable. I just threw all that stuff out and just decided, okay, no eye contact. She doesn't feel comfortable with eye contact, and that's okay. I think eye contact's pretty weird. So,
yeah.
It was almost one of those things though, where like once I got into that character, it was a little bit hard to get back into real life. But that was I think one of the more challenging ones, just because like, I mean, to play that, I almost kind of had to sort of let in some bad habits, I guess.
She had a good pacing quality in that character that you had. Her pacing too, when she spoke, was very different. That was cool how you did that too.
Thank you.
And I think she needs her own cooking show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did they actually feed you something disgusting? Because it seems like there's pranks that go on set. Like, what did they feed you to make that marshmallow thing weird? Like, I need to know.
It literally was chicken pot pie with melted marshmallow and pepper. And like the first couple takes, I gagged on it. Like it was not good.
Yeah.
I at least I didn't have to eat it. I just sat there and watched.
Yeah.
You got lucky. You got lucky on that one.
Yep.
But I'd rather get a real reaction or get from myself than like and eat the real stuff rather than fake it. Because if it tasted good, I feel like I couldn't have gotten into character as much.
Yeah, you kind of broke character a little bit when you had the whole mountain of cheese.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, it was funny. It was really funny.
Oh my goodness,
we had such a good time. Like that movie in particular. I mean, like I have an amazing experience on like every film I've made, but like that movie really felt special to me because I felt like we had that dynamic. Our characters had that dynamic, and we were able to explore our characters so in depth in that movie. I really enjoyed that. And for a horror movie to be written with so much heart into it, I really appreciate it. I mean, like a lot of horror movies, like just disposable bodies waiting to be picked off, but no, these are like fully realized characters, and I really liked it.
I'm still really impressed by that one scene where you had to make that phone call, basically sending me away.
Yeah.
You were just breaking down during that scene. You were I was really impressed by that.
Thank you.
That
was a hard scene.
It hits you hard.
Yeah, in order to shoot that scene, I got myself literally as upset as possible. I wasn't really. That's one scene where I can say I wasn't really acting because I genuinely got myself upset, and I actually made myself a little after shooting that scene because I had just like I cried everything I had. Like afterwards, I'm just like, and Henrik told me to drink some water after that. But it was that was a challenge. But
I think another one that not to jump around too much, but another one that I felt like you really did an amazing job on was the very end of Alone in the Ghost House, where I was dead and you were sitting there just like cradling my head and just sobbing. That was another one where like we all had to just go everybody besides me had to go into like this really dark place to do that.
That take at the end of Alone in the Ghost House, where I'm doing that was as far as I know, I could be mistaken, Henrik might correct me on this, I believe that was the first take, because the scenes where I'm holding you, because my camera, my GoPro had died after the first take. So we had to use like the first one.
Which I was so bummed about, because that's one of the weirdly fond memories from that movie was like laying there and him holding my head and just sobbing for me, and I'm just I felt that.
Oh.
She was gonna wake up. I'm not really dead. I'm here.
I was just lying, y'all. I was just lying.
I just bullshitting. I'm here.
Well, that was, I didn't really have to do a lot. Obviously, I didn't really have to get into character too much. But I'm laying there dead, and this bug, I think it was a cricket, just crawled across my face at one point.
Yeah.
And I would have just died. I would have died. It's fine. I mean, like, I'm done.
I sat there totally motionless, just feeling it. Oh, God.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
Oh, my God. This movie turned into a zombie movie. She is alive, swatting at a cricket.
That's a sequel. Come back as zombies.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right. Alone in the zombie house.
Alone in the zombie house.
There we go. Here we go. Well, what what are some of your influences? You know, who are some of the folks you look up to in whatever walk of life or genre that fuel you, if that makes sense?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
I gotta think about that.
Nope. Well, Elena, do you have a follow-up question?
That actually was going to be my next question. Like, who are your biggest influences as actors, or anybody else in the horror world that you feel their performances that were just like breathtaking to you, that really, really make you who kind of your characters who they are? Well, that was actually going to be my next question.
I know for me,
you asked it better than I did.
I know for me, just the people, the cast and crew I've worked with, and we've worked with, like, it is so, like, when you get when all the actors are on the same page and everyone gets into the groove, which everyone has been, I feel like, you know, on all the movies we worked on, like, you get to feed off each other's energy, and, like, you know, going back to the argument scene and Girl in the Crawl Space, I mean, like, I could feel each other, like, feeding off each other's aggressiveness against each other's anger, and, like, and that fuels your own performance, and so, yeah, I mean, like, I'm so impressed with all the cast and crew that I've worked with over the years. Like, it's just been, I mean, I'm so fortunate to have worked with amazing people like that. You know, they're so talented. I
think that is one thing. When I was in Babysitter Massacre, what really kind of clicked for me was before I started doing any of my lines, we were filming, I think it was Amy and Aaron were doing their scene where it's like this mother-daughter talk. And I remember Henrik telling them, you know, just give this everything you've got. You know, even though this is Babysitter Massacre, you know, treat this like this is like your Oscar-winning performance. Just go totally serious. And they did, and it was just amazing to watch that. And so I tried to kind of take that same tone and feed off of that energy and put that in what I did. And I feel like Erin R. Ryan is like, she's a powerhouse. Like every time I do anything with her, I feel like I learn something from her. Yeah. Jeff Berkman is another one that's just, I love working with Jeff.
He's incredible. He's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've reached out to Erin to see if she wanted to do the podcast, so I'm hoping to hear back from her. Because I agree with you. She's awesome. Everything I've seen her in, she's really good, and she works really good with you two guys. I mean, the Girl in the Crawl Space, her interactions with you, especially Joni, those are gold.
She's the best.
Yeah. And I'm going to bring up. Go ahead, Elena.
And what I was about to say was, and to piggyback off you guys, when you're working on a set, like the last set I was working on, you know, I do the makeup for certain underground horror films, and I worked with our buddy Dean. And to work with a cast who kind of feeds off their own energy with each other beforehand in that scene, it makes a huge difference just to have that cast and crew that actually converse with each other and stuff, that actually are trying to get to know each other. And we actually found it even more beneficial too, because I got to be an extra at the same time because I was just plugging spots. We were watching horror movies and stuff while we were waiting for our scene, so we were just practicing, just sitting there watching, you know, trying to work on the victim thing. So it's fun to do activities like that with everybody just to get that energy right in the room. You know, you got to get in that headspace. But when you're working with cast and crew that just have that tight knit bond, it makes such a huge difference. It really does.
I mean, it's like family at this point.
It really
and it's one of the beautiful things about it is that, like, every time I do a film, like, usually I end up working with somebody who I've never worked with before. And, like, it's just, I don't know, you meet so many really cool people. Like, even if you haven't worked with them before, you still kind of get the sense of family where we're all here, we've all got this one thing that we're working towards, and we just want to get it done. We want to do the best we can on it, and everybody's got that feeling.
Right. Well, I'm going to give you one compliment that we got from an earlier podcast recording from an author. You probably know him. His name is David O'Hanlon. If you don't know him, you're about to know him. He's written the Babysitter Massacre series for Henrik.
Yeah.
Those.
They're fantastic.
Yeah, you got to get those. Come on now. But yeah, he's written 4 Babysitter Massacre books. They're in that universe of the movie that you were in, the Babysitter Massacre. And we were talking to him just today because we recorded his episode today, and we were talking about family splatters a little bit. And he brought up, and he named you, Joni. He would love for you to play the part of Darren, the protagonist in this book, if this thing ever became a film. He was sold on you portraying Darren, and you got to go pick up this book and read it so you know what I'm talking about. But you got a huge compliment from David O'Hanlon today, and these books are amazing. He's put 4 of them out. I've only read 2 of them so far. A new one just came out called Murder Cove, so at your leisure, pick them up and give them a try. They're fun reads.
Absolutely,
but,
I can do that.
Yeah,
they're set in the Babysitter Massacre world, so I thought I'd bring that up. That you got a vote of confidence to play Darren if Henrik ever made that a movie.
Right.
Yeah. It's awesome.
I gotta get on that.
Yeah,
you got to get on that, and you know. John, you might be able to make a pitch to play Red, but I don't know if you want to play that character.
Oh yeah.
He's pretty evil. He is evil. Yeah. Yes.
Like if you didn't notice, like I often get typecast as a vile character. I play jerks a lot.
Yeah.
On
you've been kind of a jerk in Crawl Space and Ghost Trail. Yeah.
Well, I remember when John Dalton approached me for the role. Johnny was his name, I believe, in Crawl Space. Yeah. For that, he's just like, John. He calls me up. He's like, John, like I have this idea. I'm going to run past you. Like your character, if you want to play it, is like I wrote this guy who's like a recovering drug addict, and he's like an ass to everybody, and like his marriage is falling apart. And I thought of you, John. I thought of you, and I'm just like, thanks. I appreciate that.
Preach, bro. Thanks.
Dude. Yeah. So that character basically writes screenplays, and he's not above board with his actions in the movie. I don't want to spoil it for anybody that watches it. And I think Joni was about to make a point, but he's an asshat in that movie.
Yeah, I mean, you do really well in roles where you can just kind of like in Ragmork. That was kind of your character was just this. I see you as being like this. I don't know, kind of like a Cockney vagabond, you know, and I don't know. Like you that's what you look like. You look like a kind of scruffy sort of. I shouldn't keep going here.
Horror 421, the podcast, ruining relationships since 2020. Nice. Yeah,
there have been some movies like Ragmork where my only directions were just like just make scary faces at the camera. It was like that's basically my role in Ragmork. I don't know if you've seen that one, but it's me making scary faces. It's Eric Whiting directing.
Yeah.
And,
he's feral.
Yeah, I'm feral.
Yeah.
No.
It's just.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. Well, I've seen a lot of the things you've been in, but I definitely haven't seen everything you guys have been in. So, but I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Well, Elena, do you have any other questions?
As far as, I know that I'm a huge nerd and we obviously love to read books. Do you guys have any favorite horror writers or horror books that you guys enjoy reading too as well?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, Stephen King's always a good.
I'm a collector. Yes, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I do like. Hey, would you not? Sorry, my dog is trying to contribute.
He wants to be on. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I like a lot of like old, like vintage horror, like H.P. Lovecraft, Robert E. Howard, like some of the old pulp classic horror
Yeah.
and fantasy.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, Elena has just finished reading, and it's a book I read way back in the day. I'm a lot older than all you guys, so I read it in like 1985. But it's called Hell House. Have you ever read that book by Richard Matheson?
No, I gotta look that up.
Very, very unsettling haunted house story. It plays with sci-fi as well as spiritual hauntings, and kind of trying to prove the scientific method as well as your spooky house method, like which one is actually the right answer. Like, is it actually science or is it not? Like, and it plays with both of those aspects, but the house is like attacking everybody who's in it, because it's kind of almost like The Haunting of Hill House in that aspect where people go to stay and to investigate. It's really good, very, very unsettling. I actually read it when my partner, he was at home and I was by myself. I was like, I'll wait till he gets home to finish it. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Yeah, because it freaked me out. But it was really good.
Nice. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
In terms of influence, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that book was written in the 70s, I think. But anyway, go ahead. In terms of influence?
I was going to say, like, in terms of influence, in terms of, you're asking before what got me into horror, I do have to give a shout out to R.L. Stine, because I grew up reading, starting from an early age, that was like the first horror I was reading. And I credit him and his books for really getting me into the genre. So I have to give a shout out to him, because he was a big influence on me in getting into that genre. So, yeah.
Goosebumps was a major influence for me too.
Yeah.
Anything R.L. Stine in general, even his short story books too. I agree with that. I remember Goosebumps being my main, like one of them. I was like, ooh, the makeup and masks are cool. I want to do that, and I did get to do that. Now I'm doing that in real life, and I was like, thanks.
Yeah.
So I've seen, like I said, a lot of the films you guys have been in, and most of them have been horror. Have you done any work outside the horror genre? Have you made any non-horror films?
Go ahead.
Oh, I just filmed a Western with Henrik, actually. It's not out yet. But
yeah.
He was telling us he finished a Western on when we were talking to him.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Or I'll talk too much about it, but yeah, that was great. I got to scratch that off my bucket list. I had always wanted to do a Western, so that was a lot of fun. I've done a few comedies too. I would love to do another comedy. It's on my bucket list again to play. I've played sort of screwball characters on stage, but I really want to do just a really over the top, just larger than life character. I would love to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was in Calamity Jane's Revenge. I had a small part in that, so that was.
I've seen that. I saw that one.
Making Out was another one that was a comedy. I had a small part in Bulldog for Christmas, that family Christmas film, and
I saw that.
Yeah. So 2 holiday ones. I would love to do like more sci-fi and fantasy. I love sci-fi. All of sci-fi.
Now, on the sci-fi, are you Star Wars or Star Trek?
Yes.
Oh, don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, they're both good for totally different reasons.
Yeah.
And you can't compare the two of them. It's not fair. Star Wars is fantasy.
And you have to include Stargate at the same time, because that's also not fair. That's a fantastic series.
I have never sat down and watched Stargate. I've seen like a few episodes of it, but like I've never like watched it, and maybe that needs to be what we do tonight.
I saw the movie. I didn't see the TV show.
Yeah,
it's kind of cheesy. I'm not gonna lie, but I liked it. I actually really liked it. But that's a childhood memory.
We like cheese.
Yes.
It works, you know.
I've got a big sci-fi side to me as well. So I grew up loving Star Wars, and I like Star Trek too. That was a I don't want to call it a trick question. That was a loaded question. Which one do you like? But how about Battlestar Galactica? Do you like Battlestar Galactica?
Ooh,
that's another one that I need to sit down. And watch.
Oh my gosh!
I've seen.
Okay, yeah, you can revoke it.
Yeah,
it's okay.
I've seen the remake series. I didn't see the original '70s series. I saw the remake. I loved the remake series, and I really need to show that to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
That can also be the next thing.
Yeah. Well, when I was a kid, saw the original series, and then when they did the reboot in 2000, I forget what year it was, 2004 or something, 2009. I can't. Anyway, but you're right. It's an excellent drama series in space. So, Joni, if you're a sci-fi fan, you definitely got to check that out. Definitely got to check that out.
I'll put that on my list.
Katie Sackhoff. She plays Starbuck in the new newer version.
Yeah.
So the male role from the 70s was turned over to a female, and she just blows it out of the water. So you definitely
can't go wrong with Katie Sackhoff. She's amazing in everything I've seen her do. So yeah.
Oh yeah. She had a series on Netflix. I forget what it was called. But yeah, she's done all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, she has.
Yeah. Katie's a trooper.
Yep.
Yep. What else?
I think another good sci-fi series, Joni, you may actually like. You've probably already read them. I had to look it up because I couldn't remember the name. The Alexia Terabati novels. It's kind of like a steampunk-esque sci-fi vampire thing, and I think you would really dig it. It's really good. I can't remember how many are in it. I read it a really long time ago, but I think you'll probably really enjoy that because it's a mix of everything together.
I will check that out.
Well, going back to the sci-fi / horror movies, for both of you, what are some of your favorite sci-fi / horror movies? I mean, the ones that come to my mind are definitely the Alien series.
Alien
for sure.
Yeah, Alien is one of my top 5 films of all time.
Yes.
In terms of it being a horror movie, in terms of like the art direction, the music, the acting, like the lighting is perfect in that movie. I mean, like, I don't know how you can improve on that. So good.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. Like, I'm really bad for like remembering movies. Like, it's like the connections in my brain just aren't there. And we're gonna finish up this podcast, and then I'm gonna walk away and go, oh, I should have mentioned.
Yeah, I'm glad that. What's Event Horizon? That's starting to get a little more attention.
Yeah.
I'm glad that's getting a little more attention nowadays.
Elena, if you've never seen that one, have you seen Event Horizon?
I was more of a Resident Evil and like that type of sci-fi-esque. That was mine.
Check out Event Horizon. It's legit.
Yeah. Our movie list for tonight, actually, he has not seen Barbarella.
No, I have not.
And
what?
That's important.
It is important. Yeah.
Yes.
It's been on my list for a while.
This is a major important film.
Yeah.
I love that. I love like just retro everything. That is it's brilliant.
Yeah. So are you is that movie night tonight, Barbarella?
Yeah.
Barbarella.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh,
we should mention that today happens to be Christina's birthday.
It's my birthday.
Yeah.
Oh, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
I would sing to you, but you don't want that.
I don't want that. I thank you for that. I appreciate that, everyone.
Yeah, you don't want that. The listeners don't want that.
Just everyone. Just in general, I don't.
Yeah.
That makes me cringe on the inside too. You're not alone on that one. I'm like, ooh.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with my hands. Like, what do I do? Like, should I do this? Should I be like, thanks?
Yeah.
Then you start silently mouthing it while they're singing, and then it just makes it awkward. And you're just like, now my armpits are zesty, and I don't like it. Too much. It's too much.
I just do the to you part. Like when they sing "Happy Birthday," I go to you, and that's it. That's all.
Yeah.
My brother, when I was younger, he worked at a restaurant, and he got them to stand me on a chair in the middle of a restaurant while they sang to me, and I literally cried afterwards because I hated it. I was like, "Why? Why have you done this? Why have you done this to me?" It was single-handedly the most mortifying moment in my life, and I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I do like sometimes you get free food and free drinks.
Yeah.
And
I'll take the cake.
I can deal with cringe for free food.
Yeah.
Yeah. Solid.
You get a free appetizer, a free dessert. Yeah, I'm down with that.
Yeah.
If there's nothing free with it, don't do it, please.
Yeah. My birthday's at the end of next month, so
nice.
Last day of February. I'm not a leap year baby.
No.
Not a leap year baby.
Cool.
Well, happy birthday.
Yes.
Well, thank you. We'll be at Days of the Dead in Atlanta, Georgia,
Yeah.
So if you guys have ever been to a Days of the Dead convention or a horror convention like that, they are super fun.
I've been to Cinema Wasteland a few times, several years ago, which I'd love to go back. Like, there's been several years since then that I've been saying, man, I should go back there, and then I don't. But it's a little bit of a drive.
Yeah,
such a good community though of people. You get to connect with other authors, writers, directors, and other artists alike in that community, and you kind of just grow to work with all of them later. It's a great place to meet people. We love it.
Yeah. That's where I met Elena.
Nice.
Yeah, she walked up to my table when I was doing my book spiel, laying it out there, and I talked her into buying a book, and then she came back and bought more books, and then we just kind of connected on a friendly level. And she's done my last 2 book covers. She's an amazing makeup artist, by the way.
Nice.
Thought I would shout that out there. But you meet a lot of creative people at those conventions. So, like you said, artists, directors, fellow authors, just all kinds of people that you can connect with. So we love going there. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So if you get a chance to go to a Days of the Dead convention or anything like that, I think there are probably several or many different, versions of that.
We definitely need to check that out.
You can make a weekend out of it. I think Elena gets like the 3-day pass. I get a vendor's table, so I get to roam the halls when I want to and see what's going on. But it's a fun time. You see a lot of the same people every year, but it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved going to Cinema Wasteland when I was there. It was a lot. I usually went with Henrik and usually Aaron, and I think we went with Haley a couple times. But it was just like nonstop people. And it's after a while, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I just need to just decompress for a minute. But it was fun though, just seeing like all of the art and merchandise and talking to these people that are just into the same thing. It was just so cool.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you a quick funny story. This was from Days of the Dead in Atlanta, and I don't think I'd met Elena yet. It was the year the It Kids were there. What year was that? Was that 2018?
I was not there that year.
But the kids from the newer It movie, two of them were in tables across from me and my buddy Bryce, and so there was a lineup. One of them was Chosen Jacobs, and the other one, I can't remember the other kid's name, but anyway, they're sitting across from us, and they had a line of preteen and teenage girls. I mean, it was super long because they're handsome kids.
Yeah.
And so what happened was Bryce and I, we were just sitting there, and we got all the parents coming right to our table buying books because their kids were waiting in line. So that was the best position we've ever had at a Days of the Dead convention. We were right across from and the parents were like, whatever. So they just walk over to talk to us and get books. And I'm like, we're in the perfect spot. And then Chosen Jacob's mother, she was sitting in a chair right across from me the entire event, and all these kids getting pictures made with her kid. And so one morning I walked over to her and I was like, hey, I said, I want to get my picture made with you. And she's like, what? You want to get your picture made with me? I was like, yeah.
Aww.
And, she was like, okay, great. So anyway, she stood up, we took a picture, and she was looking at her son like, see, you're not the only one that gets pictures made.
That made her day.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're coming up on the 54-minute mark of the podcast. Elena, is there any last questions you have for Joni and John?
Let's see. On a typical movie night, do you guys always choose horror? What's your typical movie night like in your house?
We do kind of
everything. Yeah. We started going through a list. So the American Film Institute a couple years ago put out a list of the 100 greatest films of all time, according to them. We've been going through some of that. Just some of the ones that she hadn't seen yet. She hadn't seen Casablanca. She hadn't seen Sunset Boulevard.
Yes, yeah.
Although
not on the list. We did just watch As Above, So Below the other day, and I freaking love that. That was great.
That's a great film. That is a great film.
Yeah. We recently watched, also not on the list, but Spontaneous came out a year or two ago.
That was so depressing.
I haven't heard that one.
Yeah,
you should definitely
check it out.
recommend it.
It's really good. It's a horror comedy.
It's very depressing, but it's good. To me, it kind of there's this epidemic of where kids are just spontaneously exploding. Yeah, into a shower of blood. And
I'm in.
I'm there. I'm sold. Sold. All right.
Yeah, like, I mean, they call in like a pandemic team or whatever. They're quarantined in like this little facility, and they're just dealing with like the emotional side of it. And it's, I mean, it kind of evoked feelings of kind of like COVID, sort of. Like it sort of has that same feeling. We're all sort of living under the shadow of this thing, but just trying to have a normal life.
Yeah. And we're both just getting over COVID now.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, no. I'm sorry.
After 2 years, it caught up to us. So,
yes. We called out for a long time, but Omicron got us.
Yep.
Well, how are you feeling now? Are you guys getting better?
Great.
Okay, good.
Still got a cough.
Yeah.
But mostly I'm good.
Yeah. As
long as you're better. God, that's terrible.
Yeah.
My wife and I had it in January of 2021, last year, January, and it sucked. We didn't have to be hospitalized or anything, but it sucked, and my smell and taste still isn't right, so I don't know.
Really? Oh, shoot, I'm sorry.
Mine never left. I kept my, although apparently Omicron, like compared to some of the other strains, is like kind of, if you're going to get one, get Omicron. It's more like a bad cold, especially if you've been vaccinated, which we had, thankfully. I didn't get the booster, but.
Right.
I mean, there was one day where each of us were just dead.
Yeah.
Like fever. I had a fever of like 101.8.
Oh.
Yeah.
And there was one day where we felt like if this keeps going, we might have to worry. But then it went away, and then it was just fatigue.
Yeah. I lost my taste buds for a day. I lost half my taste buds for a day. Like the back of my mouth stopped working, the back of my tongue stopped working. But like it was weird. It was so interesting.
Weirdest thing was the hallucinations.
Yeah.
Because
we did
fever hallucinations.
Yeah. I kept
those are fun.
Somebody peeking in our room.
Yeah.
I knew they weren't there. I knew it was a hallucination, but I'm just like, John.
Yeah, I mistook my our fern for a person.
Yeah.
Alone in the ghost house.
Yeah. Alone together in the ghost house,
In the fern house.
In the fern house,
In the fern house.
That's me on Mucinex. I see spiders on the ceiling. So that's not a fun time. Not a fun time. I can't take Mucinex for that exact purpose. They're right there.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's a horror novel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a pet tarantula, so I feel like there's.
You do?
Yeah, she's a Chilean rose hair.
Holy crap.
She's pretty big. She's a good spider.
Yeah.
Little fuzzy butt.
Yeah.
What do they eat?
Crickets. You can just get crickets from the pet store. You can also get dubia roaches. There's people that sell feeder insects that you can give them. So
they don't have a pest control service. They just let her out and just let her roam the house.
Yeah, there you go.
They don't eat it. They'll eat all the bugs. I never knew what. I always wondered what tarantulas ate. I was like, what do they eat? Like, I don't actually know.
It's honestly like having a pet fish or something. You don't really handle them. They don't really get anything from that. They just kind of sit in their little box and eat what you feed them. And they're cool.
Yeah. But we have kind of a zoo in here. We have the tarantula. We have a Eurymastix. We have a ball python. We have a dog. We have 4 cats.
It's hell of a lot of house plants.
I just got one fat cat. That's all I got.
You could stuff several smaller cats in your one cat.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's a big boy.
He is a chunk. He's a chunk.
Yeah,
I'm not a cat guy. I don't know yet. Aw.
Yeah, Sammy. He's like 20 years old. He might be able to buy booze at this point. He's old enough.
You've earned it, Sammy. You've earned it.
That's right. Go fill that bowl up with some liquor.
Right.
Oh my goodness. All right, guys. Well, we're almost at the hour point. What I want to do is let you guys talk about anything you have out there. Anything you may want to plug. If you have anything you want to, let us know. If you've got any projects going on, just tell us what's happening with John and Joni right now.
Yeah. Like I said before, I have a Western coming out, so be on the lookout for that. And other than that, we are working on building our own YouTube channel.
Yes.
We filmed a short film, sort of a sci-fi horror short film that we're in the process of editing right now.
Yeah.
We're going to post online.
I've never been on the editing and filming side of
Right,
things before,
neither
so
Yeah.
so far I got it cut down to just over 30 minutes. So that I think is going to be sort of our first pilot episode.
Yeah, that's our
Awesome.
But I think it might end up being something more along the line of just like sharing things that we do, things that projects that we're working on. I have been I do a lot of art. Oh, sorry. I've been
He's a grumpy cat.
Yes.
He's a really grumpy cat.
He is. Yeah. I've been learning to use an airbrush. So here's one of my
That's
very
awesome.
first airbrush works.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's like I said, right now I'm just learning. I just started using this thing like 2 days ago. So
That's really good.
learning to control the brush. Thank you. But I would like to try to, share more of my art at some point, and so we're probably going to do that over the blog. Maybe do some, just share some of the other things we do, because we do a lot.
We're also going to be, the plan is to set out this summer, and we're going to be filming this and sharing our footage with everyone, hiking the Continental Divide Trail in the summertime. So that's like going to be like a 5 months of hiking from Mexico to Canada, or vice versa, the other way around.
Yeah.
And so we'll be posting constant videos, or as often as we can. And my plan is to compile it into a documentary and release it. So, yeah.
And I think one thing that just getting this out there, if anybody, I love to sing. I friggin' love to sing, and I never get to do that. So please, if there's any directors out there or musicians or whatever, talk to me.
I'd love to do a musical.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Well, that's one thing I haven't seen you do in any of the roles is really sing.
Nobody knows I can do it.
Hey.
'Cause I should really record myself or something. I don't know.
Man, I want to put her on the spot, make her sing something right now, but I'm not going to do that.
That's not how I sing.
Yeah, you don't want to hear me sing. I already told you that. I'm terrible.
The new West Side Story, I gotta say, it was fantastic. I don't know if you saw that one, but Spielberg did a really good job with that one. So
Just
all right.
Yeah.
It didn't make any money at the box office, so I feel like I should plug it because it was really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of musicals, so it was good. I actually really enjoyed it too. I'm a huge fan of musicals.
Well, one thing that I try to do, and I think I do a pretty good job at it, and Elena can maybe attest to it. Anyone in my life that's creative and has stuff out there, I share it to no end. So whatever you guys have, I'm going to share it. I'm going to share it. I'm going to share it. I'm going to keep sharing it, and because people support me, and I want to support people, and we just will all want to help each other. So I'll share it ad nauseum until people get tired of seeing me share it. So if you guys have anything you want to plug or put out there, let me know. Not that I've got 1 million followers or anything, but it only takes a few to get a ripple effect going. So
thank you.
I'm currently taking commissions for watercolor, oil painting, portraits, pet portraits, fantasy, horror, illustration, anything.
Do you have a website?
I don't, and I'm really kicking myself for that right now. Actually, I do. Actually, on Facebook, I've got a page called "Just Look at My Art," and that's just just a page full of art that I do. It's just called "Look at My Art." Which let me see if I can. I'll find it later. I'll send it out to you later.
Okay. All right. Well, that's fine. So whatever you guys have, just send it to Elena and me. We will promote it on Instagram. We'll promote it on YouTube. We'll promote it everywhere that we promote things. So we love doing that stuff. And if you haven't checked out Jukebox Baby 78 on Instagram, I would go check that out.
Yes.
That's her. And her makeup is freaking amazing. If you go to valleyboypublications.com, you can see the couple of book covers she's done for me, and they've blown me out of the water. So good job, Elena.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Makeup
and
artist. It's so cool.
Oh yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I'll close it by saying we really enjoyed having you guys on here. You were great guests, and I definitely want to invite you back on the podcast at some point if you guys want to come back.
Absolutely.
Seems like we'll have a lot we can talk about. And with that said, Elena, do you want to let everyone know where we can find you? I kind of just told everybody, but it's kind of how
We can say it again. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm JukeboxBaby78 on Instagram as well as on TikTok. All of my body painting, airbrush work, horror stuff, Nightmares Gate haunted house stuff, all of my fun stuff that I do outside of my regular world is on there. And if anybody wants anything as far as makeup, you can DM me on Instagram or on my Facebook, which is Elena Marie. So I'm always here.
And I am Charles Campbell. I'm a small town horror author. You can find my stuff at valleyboypublications.com, or you can go find Charles Campbell Author on Facebook and on Instagram. We appreciate you listening to the podcast today, and you can follow us there. Hit the like and subscribe button wherever you get your podcasts. And again, we thank you both. Thank you, Joni. Thank you, John. We appreciate you joining us today. And that's it for the episode today. So we'll see you next time on Horror 421, the podcast. You guys have a great day.
We hope you had a horrific time, lovelies. Thank you for tuning in to Horror 421, the podcast. Be sure to like us on YouTube and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.